Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody, and a special hello to our sacred inner circle, our chosen people.
And to specifically those chosen people, I want to say, what's up, heathens? How y'all doing?
Woo! You did it.
Yes, I did it.
Yeah.
So today we do have a special guest. We have the Godless engineer. How are you doing, John?
I hope all you heathens are here for a really great Bible study. So I know I'm ready. My anus is prepared.
As it should be.
It's gonna get a reaman today.
Well, we are covering chapters 22 through 26 of Deuteronomy.
Yes.
So, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I was going over this a little bit.
Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. That's the first thing that I read off the page.
I don't even know where I was going. Oh, right, okay. So I was going over some of these laws. This is the last part of the Deuteronomy law code that we are going over. And I was going over some of these, and some of them were just ridiculous. As you can see from the title, Transvestites, Prostitution, and More.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when talking about transvestites, I'm gonna bring up some how that kind of developed later into.
Now this is
theology.
relevant to modern arguments too. There's tons of trans stuff in the news constantly.
There is.
So let's see what the actual biblical perspective is on it. But first,
let's see what the word of God. What?
100-point show.
100-point show. Oh right, the 100-point show.
Hey,
Oh,
thanks,
thank you.
Godless.
Thank you to Godless.
Yes.
All right. 100-point show.
100-point show.
We spent a good amount of this week writing questions, so maybe I'm out of questions.
You're out of
Okay.
questions.
Who? No, you're gonna know this one, so I'm not gonna ask that one. All right. Who was the famous 17th century pirate who was known for eating his victims' hearts?
I'm gonna say Cardio Joe. He was very scary, and
Oh, shut up! You got it wrong.
okay.
That's wrong.
My vote would be for that guy from Indiana Jones.
The guy
Yeah.
from Indiana Jones. I'm sorry, it was not the guy from Indiana Jones.
Though it very well could have been.
I guess it could have been.
Kalima.
The answer is Lolene.
Lolene.
Yeah.
Is that all one name, or is it Lolan?
That's his last
A?
name, Lolene.
Oh, so is there a Lolan B?
It's like some French name. I don't know. It has like it's like a small L and then an apostrophe or something. So that's the answer to that. Now, what is your question? And John, I would invite you to prepare a question for the 100-point show. This is similar to your God points that you give out.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, what's a good question? I've got one.
All right.
I've got one that's very good, and I'm not stalling for time to think of one by talking about how great my question is. What is... All right. What's the name of the most popular book in modern production, which is purported to the authorship of Confucius?
Oh, okay. That's a very different question.
Yep.
I'm gonna say, because I have no idea. I'm gonna say The Way.
No.
No, damn.
The Tao Poo?
No. Godless, you got the answer?
No, I do not.
It is the Analect. Analects of Confucius.
The Analect of Confucius.
Who would've guessed?
Well, we learn things here at this show.
Useless things.
Ah, yeah. Well, with that out of the way, we've got some announcements.
Godless got a question?
Yes. Yes.
After
Godless.
Godless's question. God damn it, that's just like
yeah, I actually
muscle memory.
I have a decent one that is in no way juvenile at all.
Okay.
Okay.
So who was the first to attempt to fly a plane over the English Channel in 1909?
Was it Amelia Earhart?
No.
Damn.
1909, was it Henry Ford?
Nope.
Okay.
I should know this. I love aviation history.
Oh, shut up, Chris.
Yeah, shut up, Chris.
It
You
was
know,
a British guy.
yeah, he
The
flew
English
over the
Channel.
English Channel. Neither of us guessed British people, by the way. Both of the people we guessed were American.
What is the answer?
The answer is Hubert Latham. He failed to do it, but in doing so, he became the first person to ever land a plane on water.
Wow.
You mean crash into the ocean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
So nobody got any points.
Nobody got any points. But for all of our fans, we have our special coming up at some point in the future, perhaps in the next 2 weeks. We just got to get some stuff recorded.
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be special, all right.
It is the 100-point show on steroids.
Yes, we're going to have the real 100 points show.
The real 100-point show. And you're gonna have a big wheel that we're gonna spin like they do on Wheel of Fortune.
We're going to try and get a wheel girl.
We're gonna try to get a wheel girl. And we're gonna have a bunch of like TV show stereotypes.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be pretty great. We're gonna have Chris doing bad humor, like monologuing. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of great stuff. So that's that. And before the show starts, I'm just gonna quickly go over some of the Patreon perks for all of the new subscribers because we have gained quite a bit.
Yes, those of you who are outside of the inner circle, welcome.
Welcome. Yes. Welcome everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So $1 a month, you get access to all behind-the-scenes footage and all Milwaukee Atheists video scripts. So that's pretty cool. You just download the script and then Control F right inside of that shit when you need it.
Yep.
For $5 or more a month, previous rewards, and you get a copy of all books a member of Milwaukee Atheist publishes. I think that's pretty good for $5.
Yep.
That's actually our most popular one. $10 or more a month, previous rewards, and you get your name on the credit roll of all the videos you helped sponsor that month, and it gets you entrance into a monthly t-shirt giveaway. We do have some nifty shirts on our Teespring, and I like all of them, but we should really work on some new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have the platonic form of the shirt.
Yes, the platonic form of the shirt.
Yeah, it is just a shirt.
Then for 20 or more a month, previous rewards, and you get a weekly hangout with the team to discuss video topics and other ideas, anything that's on your mind. We just get to have a little, yeah.
Say Friday hangout.
Well, it can be whenever.
Oh, fair enough.
And you also get free tickets to any future event we will hold. And we do plan on having like events, like real like conferences and stuff.
But we can't cover your transportation or lodging.
Yeah, transportation and lodging not included. And then we have $50 or more a month. You get the previous rewards. You get a special shout out in a video you helped sponsor that month. And you get to join us as a guest on one of our Atheist Sunday School streams that month.
Yep.
Yeah, so you could be on the show too.
And if you donate $10,000 a month, we will personally, at some point in our lives, give you a high five.
Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty good.
That's guaranteed.
You can't ask for better prices than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for today's reading, we are doing Deuteronomy chapters 22 to 26, and What version of the Bible do you have?
I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version. And what do you have, Godless? What are you using?
I am using the NIV version.
All right. Fantastic. So we got all that shit out of the way. Let us begin.
Then without further ado, I'll start reading chapter 22.
Yes.
Ha, I rhymed. I'm a poet that I didn't even know I had the ability to be.
Yes, very good.
Chapter 22. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox, or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. Well, that's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not, how would you know not your brother? Then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it, and thou shalt restore it to him again. So when they say brother, do they mean here specifically brother, or do they mean member of the Jewish
I
community?
think in this context they are meaning actual brother because the rest of this book seems to always say like neighbor or something. So I was thinking about that, and I have concluded that I think it's about your actual brother.
Okay.
And I mean I don't know what the Hebrew is, so I couldn't tell you 100%.
We need a Torah
Do we need a Torah?
for these like last third of Deuteronomy. That's all it
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean we
useful
could just
for.
get like just a Hebrew Bible.
But
Well,
it's much-
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say there must be some kind of like translation thing going on here because with the NIV it says like owner and like the one who owns it, so they kind of deviate from the whole brother thing in the NIV version. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. It's also a pretty good mindfuck hearing the KJV version and then having to read the NIV version. Like it's hard to keep up between the two.
Yeah, no, I get that.
yeah.
I also have that that kind of problem because it's the KJV.
No, and honestly, I mean, this old English crap is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But anyways, in like manner shalt thou do with his ass, and so shalt thou do with his raiment, and with all lost things of thy brothers, which he hath lost, and thou hast found, shalt thou do likewise. Thou mayest not hide thyself. So, if anyone ever loses something, or if your brother ever loses
Let's
something,
just say whoever. If
Yeah.
somebody
It's-
somebody loses but this is specifically their donkey or their ox. So if they specifically lose those things, you should return them.
well, it says, and with all lost things.
Oh yeah. You're right.
So, yeah. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again. Have you ever tried to lift an
An
ox?
ox? No, I have not.
Or a donkey? Like,
No, I've
they're
never.
pretty goddamn heavy.
Probably.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
I don't know. I could lift an ox. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, you know what? I believe that. Looking at you and your incredible strength.
Yeah. So, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination. Wow, it doesn't do it plurally. It says, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about before. So if you, yeah, I would just be repeating what they just said. But yeah, if you're a woman, don't wear a guy's clothes. If you're a guy, don't wear a woman's clothes. So the interesting thing is this kind of, or this specific mentality was kind of pushed to its limit in the 2nd century CE with the writing of the Apocalypse of Peter. And it is an apocryphal text. The apocalypse we have in modern Bibles is the Apocalypse of John. So in Peter's version, it's basically Peter having this revelation, and Jesus is taking Peter on this journey through heaven and hell. And the heaven stuff is pretty boring. It's like there's even a part that talks about how sexy the angels are. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. And then the hell part it basically goes really in depth. It's actually where Dante got a lot of his imagery. There is a part that specifically says if a man acts like a woman, or if a woman acts like a man, then their punishment is specifically they go on top of this mountain or this hill, a cliff, and they jump off, and there's already a pile of bodies there, and they jump off, and then people continuously jump off, and then you have to crawl your way from out of this pile of people, and then go back up the cliff, and then do it all over again, everybody. So that, and it says specifically there is no rest from this punishment.
So it's like Sisyphus, where he has
Kinda
to
like
roll
that, yeah.
the boulder up the hill, and yeah, that's interesting. I know that, for example, in the Jewish tradition, there's Purim, and on Purim, people are allowed to cross-dress. That is, they're allowed to wear costumes of people who are the opposite sex.
Okay.
I don't know if there is an equivalent in Christianity.
I don't recall.
I don't think
I do not
so.
recall. But let us continue on. That was my little commentary.
All right. If a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way of any tree, or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young, but thou shalt in any wise let the dam go and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days. So,
Okay, so here's what I'm getting from this. I'm getting that there were some birds that were aggressive because you were touching their babies, so they got angry. So in order to protect you, you're like, don't touch, or because if you took in the mother, the bird might hurt you. But if you just took the children, then you're fine. They can't hurt you.
yeah. Special thanks to Antisocial Socialists.
Yes, thank you so much for $5.
Thank you. Well, you know, an ex of mine used to raise chickens. She had over 100 birds at one point.
Really? Do I know this ex?
No.
Okay.
And her, those chickens, it's surprising. They'll freak out if you, like, when they're watching, you go into their nest and grab one of their eggs. But then you can bring it to them later, crack it open, and toss the yolk on the ground, and they'll eat it.
That's fucking brutal.
Yeah, it is. So they're strange creatures. When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement for thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thine house, if any man fall from thence. So,
Okay, I have a very different, at least it's very differently phrased. When you build a new house, you shall make a parapet for your roof, that you may not bring the guilt of blood upon your house, if anyone shall fall from it. What the fuck is that? What is a parapet?
I feel like that's a giant net around the top of your house, so it's kind of like an insurance that nobody will fall off your roof.
Right,
yeah.
that would make sense. I've never heard that phrase before. What does your translation say, John?
Mine says basically the same thing as yours, except it uses bloodshed instead of blood.
Okay.
Well, the core idea is still the same. Don't let people fall off the roof of your house. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with divers seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. So I think they mean diverse here. What does yours say?
Yours says divers.
Yeah, divers. There's
Okay.
no E.
Okay. Yeah, I think diverse would make more sense because I have you shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed.
Well, it makes sense within a vineyard because you want to make...
Wait, hold on. This is important before I lose it.
Yeah.
So it says two kinds of seed. But the seeds, aren't they the same kind? According to creationists? How are they supposed to tell the difference?
I don't know.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But
Well, mine actually says defiled. It says that not only the crops you plant, but also the fruit in the vineyard will be defiled. So basically, Mother Nature defiles your crops if you plant two different kinds of crops in the same area.
yeah, and
Yeah, that's retribution.
I mean, it makes
That's what
sense
you get.
with grapes because they are a vine-based fruit.
Sure.
And normally with wineries, I know this because my family back in Sicily make wine. You can go check out Di Pietrantonio wine production.
What?
Yeah. But they will usually plant the same kind of grape uniformly just to make sure that the flavor profile is exactly the same in every bottle.
Are you telling me that you could have been getting us free wine this whole time?
No, distant family. Very distant
Okay,
family.
okay.
Where was I? There was something about a vineyard. Oh, there we are. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. Yep, don't mix animals.
But in the context of this, it does seem that like when you, it doesn't say when you plow like your vineyard, but it seems like it might be interpreted that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, when people use the word plow, I think it's something totally different.
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
that. Me too.
Especially when they include ass in the sentence. So, let's not do that right now. But thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of a woolen and linen together.
Yeah. So this is the whole, you may have seen plenty of atheists reference this. You shall not wear mixed cloths. That's this. This is what they're referencing. It's just kind of thrown into the description for this section for me says various laws because they really are quite various. The laws that we're going over today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Antisocial socialist. We'll do the Book of Mormon eventually. We need to finish this thing first.
Yeah, we need to finish this thing, and we also need to do the Quran at some point.
Yeah, need to do the Quran, the Book of Mormon. I have Dianetics too.
Dianetics, that's right.
Yeah. Thou shalt not make thee fringes upon the four quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself. So you aren't allowed to have little frills that come off.
You shall make yourself tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself.
Right. You're only supposed to have tassels on the corners.
No, hold on. Does yours say you shall not?
No, thou shalt make thee fringes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Mine doesn't.
Hey, I'm just kind of curious. Do the Jew curls count as tassels?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Obviously, it's blasphemy.
That's two corners.
Any reason I can get to say Jew curls, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
Although sometimes when I don't shave, I start to develop Jew curls.
Ugh.
Yeah. Like we got this big mirror back here, and I kind of already feel bad about my life. So
Well, you feel bad about your life regardless of that.
that's true, but now I feel bad about it for having Jew curls
Well.
sometimes.
If any man take a wife and go in unto her, and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate.
Hold on.
Got another guy called Frustrated Atheist just subscribed.
Thank you, Frustrated Atheist.
Thank you, frustrated atheists, for abandoning God.
I think Frustrated Atheist abandoned God a long time ago.
Probably. No, it was just now.
Yeah.
So what I find very interesting, there's a few things here.
Yeah.
So if you hate fuck somebody,
Yeah.
and then you realize that they weren't a virgin,
Yeah.
you're supposed to present evidence that the parents are supposed to present evidence that they were a virgin. But isn't that kind of like proving a negative?
How are you supposed to present evidence?
I don't know.
Okay, there are tokens of her virginity.
Yeah, mine just says evidence of her virginity.
Well, yeah. See, the way that I rationalized this part was that you had those like I don't know, somebody to inspect her vagina, and then it was kind of like a sort of like a notary. They would have to like sign something like, "Oh, yep, I saw the hymen, it's there," and then they notarize it, and then it's like, "Hell, we got a certificate and everything." I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I read a lot of Stephen King, and when I was reading Wizard and Glass from the Dark Tower series, which is a great series that all of our viewers should go read immediately, they do exactly that. They have the old witch woman come up to this girl that's getting married off to a governor, and she like takes off her pants and goes and checks out and makes sure she's still got her hymen, and then she writes a little note that says she's honest.
And then stamps it with her notary thing.
Hold on, Chris, what was the name?
Emily. I didn't get the last name. Emily O.
Okay, Emily O. Thank you for abandoning God.
Thank you. And so they bring the tokens of the virginity, and the damsel's father, Vader, shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo,
Wait. Guess what mine says?
behold,
Behold!
behold.
Yours says behold this time?
Yeah, mine says behold.
Well, that's rare.
So, and behold!
Behold, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Oh, so the literal tokens, they want them to gather the bloody sheets that were used on which the two copulated. Right?
Oh, gosh.
And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him.
Ooh.
They shall immerse him, A-M-E-R-C-E, not immerse, but amorse, him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. That sucks for her. But,
Because now he's just going to be hate fucking her the whole time.
yeah.
Because, yeah, he may not divorce her, so it's... Wow. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yep.
What I was gonna say is that I like how in this section it's very patriarchal, because it's never like the woman's like choice in all of this. Like it's never the woman's decision at all. It's always consequences on the woman or the woman's family.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much that's patriarchal in here. Like, women aren't even allowed to give testimony.
Yeah, and they're worth literally half as much. Like when we were reading Leviticus, I think.
Yeah.
They're literally worth half as much to buy, to purchase.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense, because if you think about slavery, what really made slavery work, which is...
To work with quotes.
Yeah, work with quotes, is that a slave owner could buy a woman and produce a whole bunch of slaves, which are then still that slave owner's property. So wouldn't the woman be worth more money?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're just doing the, what's it called? Like when you're adjusting for possible profits.
Estimation?
I don't fucking remember. But whatever that is, you could theoretically make way more money.
Yeah.
So that would be a good investment.
Yeah.
Why are we even talking about this?
But if this thing be true, and the damsel of virginity be not found for the damsel, the tokens of virginity, that is, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. So what happens if...
So hold on, mine says whip, but you discipline the guy if he's wrong.
Yeah.
And then he can't divorce her.
Yeah, but if he's right, then you stone her to death.
Yeah.
Which, of course, makes no sense because, not all virgins bleed, for one thing. For another thing, the hymen can be broken in a number of ways. For example, a lot of women break their hymen horse riding. They're going around on camels here, but I can imagine that it's much the same. So, really, they're just stoning a bunch of women to death for no reason.
Well, yeah, they could be, but I mean, also, I love the inequality of punishment here because it's like the woman has to die if she's actually been promiscuous, or I think as they said it in there, like they called her a whore.
Yeah, they called her a whore.
But I like how it's not exactly an even kind of thing because it's like if the guy's lying about it or he's wrong about it, then he just gets like. Doesn't he just get fined, I think is what it is?
Yeah, it was 100 shekels of silver.
Right, he just get fined. But, I mean, if the girl's lying and she actually did step out, it's like, oh, fucking kill her.
Absolutely.
Kill the fucking
whore. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel. So God officially is not down with cucks.
No, it doesn't look like that. It says this is a separate thing. So if a man is found lying, yeah. So either the whole cuck thing or just cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not cool with cheating.
Or cucks.
Or cucks.
Yeah. It explains a lot.
Shit, you're right. That does. That explains the whole shit ton.
Yeah. If a damsel...
You're at 23.
Right, I'm at 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, so if she's engaged,
Yeah.
Right, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you.
Yeah, just fucking kill him.
So if a girl gets raped, and she doesn't scream loud enough for someone to come to help,
yeah,
then she should be put to death.
Yeah.
I mean that's how I read it. I know a lot of apologists will say that this is just consensual sex. Like
it doesn't say that; it just says sex.
Oh, I know. They stretch it in order to make their apologetic for it, but yeah, I mean it's just any kind of sex, and if nobody stops them, like for instance, let's say he roofied her, then she's still gonna get stoned.
Yeah. Especially if you roofied her because she can't cry out then.
Good morals. Good morals.
Good morals.
Thank you, Bible. Good morals.
Thank you. So I was at...
I think you're at 25 now?
25.
Yeah.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Well, how does this work with the previous laws? Because the previous laws state that you need 2 witnesses for a crime.
No, but I'm also kind of wondering how this works with the verses we just read previously. Because this one sounds more like rape.
Right, well, this is... Previously they said in the city, and now they're saying in the field.
Yeah.
So, I guess if you're a woman and you get raped in a field, then they just take your word for it. But if you get raped in the city, then they don't take your word for it, which is so backwards.
Because somebody would have heard you.
Yeah, someone would have heard you in the city.
So does that mean that the only sex that happens in the country is rape?
No, this is only if a a man finds a betrothed damsel in the field and forces her
but
to have
remember,
sex.
this is specifically about engaged women.
Right. She
Betrothed
Right.
is engaged.
I know.
betrothed is engaged.
I understand
So-
that, but I'm saying this is only about them.
Right.
It's not about someone who is not
Right.
engaged.
And obviously, any sex between a married man and a woman is not rape, according to the
Right,
Bible.
obviously.
Yeah. Even if it's, bloody
Rape.
and violent.
Yeah, even if it's rape, it's not rape.
Yeah.
You got to wonder exactly how prevalent was all of this in order for them to make law, or for God supposedly to make laws specific to this.
Well, it's
Like
very
how many guys were going around sleeping with other people's betrothed women? I don't know.
well, it's very
Seems like it would
prevalent.
be pretty prevalent.
I think, there's the rule in Judaism that the lineage of Judaism goes down through the mother. And the way that was described to me was because there were a lot of rapes that happened, and you didn't necessarily know who the father of any child was. So the only way you could possibly know the religion of the child is through the one parent who the child comes out of.
Right, that makes sense. But that's really weird how they extrapolate that
Yeah.
to if your mother is Jewish, then you're Jewish.
Right,
Even if you know who the father is.
right.
Like, that's just a weird extrapolation.
Well, because you can never really know.
Yeah, I guess you can never... yeah, you can now.
Yeah, you can now.
I had some commentary on this, but I forgot. So go on.
Okay. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and he lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days.
Forcing you to marry your rapist.
Yes.
That is what this verse is describing.
Yes.
And this is not just in the city or in the country. This is in general.
Yeah. Any virgin.
Yes, any virgin.
And
Now, I'm not sure, and this might be a point of interest. I'm not sure if... do all of our texts say virgin?
mine says
Yes, mine does.
either damsel or virgin
Okay.
throughout.
So, the interesting thing is the Hebrew word for young woman was actually, when it was translated into Greek in the Septuagint, it was actually translated to virgin. So,
Well, we know in some parts here they have to be talking about
actual virgins, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure.
Well,
Well, I mean, virgins were kind of the currency going around about the time. I mean, if you had a virgin daughter, you had yourself a gold mine there.
right.
Yeah.
Well, also, mythologically, it's significant. For example, with dragons. What the dragon takes from the culture is gold and human virgin woman, right? And so there's obviously a very high price put on virgin woman.
The price is so high, even dragons want a piece.
Yeah, even though they can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the final verse here is, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt.
This part about nakedness, I was reading.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
You two discuss amongst yourselves.
Okay, we'll discuss nakedness amongst ourselves. The book that I'm currently reading is The Invention of God by Thomas Romer, and it's an interesting survey. But he has this section where he's going over the nakedness of, I think it was David and Saul, and how in one story it was perceived as bad, and another one it was perceived as good. But then that got me thinking about how it was seen from the perspective of other writers, because there was a time when it didn't really matter if you were naked in front of God or the people. It didn't matter at all. Just the transition is something it's just a thought Just an interesting little thing I want to look into. Nothing too serious. So that is chapter 22. So we can now move on to Deuteronomy 23. And hey, we got about 20 or so viewers. So if you guys are enjoying the stream, please drop a like. It really helps us out. So let's begin with Deuteronomy 23. No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male organ is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord. I have lost my dick and balls.
Yes, that's the quote.
Yep, that's the quote. I've lost my dick and balls.
Yeah, 1 million views on that, Lawrence.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Hey, you know what this means? Steve Shives cannot enter the assembly.
You're absolutely right. No one born of a forbidden union may enter the assembly of the Lord. Even to the 10th generation, none of his descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord. So, once again, you have to suffer, you have to serve the punishment for your father's sins, or your mother's sins in this case.
Leviticus.
What?
Leviticus. No one who is lost in his dick and balls can go into the assembly. But what if someone who has become a eunuch also has leprosy?
Oh, that's right. They have to go. Do they have to go in?
Yep, they have to specifically go in and meet with the priest, and the priest will lock them up somewhere, presumably.
Right. That's right. They lock them up. That's
Yeah.
true. So that's interesting.
More
Yeah.
crossover inconsistencies.
Yeah, that's another thing that we have to solve. That's for all these Jewish lawyers. Maybe that's why they all became lawyers. Maybe that's why Jews are lawyers, to figure this shit out. No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the assembly of the Lord. Even to the 10th generation, none of them may enter the assembly of the Lord forever, because they did not meet you with bread and with water on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired you, they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor from Pether of Mesopotamia to curse you.
You know what's interesting? I was looking through some more stuff on Christian demonology, which I know is so topical. But they use Balaam as the name of a demon in multiple sources.
Really?
Yeah. Just over time, people started to refer to
Balaam
as a demon.
Interesting.
And really is just a guy.
Yeah. Well, you say really he's just a guy as a matter of fact.
He's just a guy in this story.
Yeah. But the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all your days forever. You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, because you are a sojourner in his land. Children born to them in the 3rd generation may enter the assembly of God. So, because of the kind of how it worked out with Jacob and Esau, if you're an Edomite, you are still a lesser, but not so much of a lesser that you can't be forgiven.
Right.
Yeah. When you are encamped against your enemies, you shall keep yourself from every evil thing. If any man among you becomes unclean because of his nocturnal emission, then he shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp.
He's got to pull out.
Too late. He has already come inside the camp. But when evening comes, he shall bathe himself in water, and as the sun sets, he may come inside the camp.
Again.
So that's how you clean yourself. Literally clean yourself.
With water.
Yeah. You shall, and by nocturnal emission, do your translations say nocturnal emission?
Mine says, if there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness, that chanceth him by night. Right?
Wow.
Mine says nocturnal emission.
Wow.
I like nocturnal emission. So if they're unclean because they're unclean, so that yours is a tautology.
By reason of uncleanness that chanceth him by night.
Oh, okay. That chanceth him by night. Okay.
So they admit that that's wrong. I mean, the nocturnal emission thing, that can be explained scientifically, that
Right.
you can predict when it's going to happen if you know enough about your body and if you don't whack off ever. But they refer to it as chance.
Yeah.
Just chance.
It just happens, which is true. You shall have a place outside the camp, and you shall go out to it, and you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig a hole with it, and turn back and cover up your excrement, because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp, to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. So the thing, how he created all of this.
Yeah.
He has seen all of this. He came up with the concept of it.
In fact, not only that, but if we're to believe the account in Genesis, then he would not care at all, because Adam and Eve, they're the ones who covered themselves after eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
That's true.
So God doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you could be flinging shit at each other and he wouldn't care. Right?
Shouldn't
Yeah,
care.
but now,
He shouldn't care.
but somehow, because of Adam and Eve, now he cares.
Yeah, because now...
Because they ate from, they
fruit.
ate a fruit that he didn't want them to eat.
No, well,
Even though he put it right there.
I mean, you know, the significance of the fruit is that's man's departure from strictly following the Word of God. Now man can think for himself and come to his own rational conclusions about morality, whereas before it would just strictly be following the Word of God.
Yeah, but at the time that the story was written, either version doesn't matter. It was not that long after the Deuteronomistic history.
Right.
So they had just recently actually codified some of these laws. Some of these laws may, obviously reflect the stuff that was going on
Right.
before.
So if the knowledge of good and evil myth is developed shortly after the Deuteronomistic laws, we can probably conclude that the purpose of that myth is to make people not question the laws.
Yeah, not stray away from it. You just you have to be a follower.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, do you think the Israelites just sort of walked around and shat anywhere that they could, like, before this point? Like, can you just imagine, like, somebody's just walking down the aisle of tents and they're just like, oh, I gotta take a shit. And just, like, right in the middle of the walkway?
For a long time, they were very nomadic.
Yeah.
But that kind of ended, I think, in the 9th century when they kind of started to settle down. And over the course of a couple centuries, they solidified their place. Although they were nomadic for a long time. In fact, even Egypt makes a reference to them as a group, the Merneptah It talks about I don't know if it was the land of Israel, the people of Israel. It doesn't talk about it as if it's a country, because it was about a Canaanite conquest. So they were probably just referring to the people in Canaan.
Okay.
Lawrence, what's that guy's name?
Roman.
Jesus.
What is
That's a
it?
hard one.
Mavraim? No, wait, hold on. Mavroyan?
Roman Mavroyan. Welcome.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Anyways, continue your chapter.
Okay. Where the fuck was I? Oh, here we go. This is another thing that I wanted to put into the title, but I decided against it. You shall not give up to his master a slave who has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you in your midst, in the place that he shall choose within one of your towns, wherever it suits him. You shall not wrong him. So if a slave escapes, you just kind of integrate. They just kind of get integrated into the stuff you have going on. None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, and none of the sons of Israel shall be a cult prostitute. You shall not bring the fee of a prostitution or the wages of a dog into the house of the Lord your God in payment for any vow, for both of these are an abomination to the Lord your God. Now,
So
dog, hold on. For dog, it says male prostitute. Apparently that was what they were called.
right. So basically, you're not allowed to prostitute yourself at any point.
Right.
Right. All right.
You, and the interesting thing here is this idea of like tainted money.
Yeah.
We kind of get the same thing in I forget if it was Luke or Matthew, but when they're describing the death of Judas, they have two different accounts. In one account, there's this field of blood, and it's called that. In one account, it says that it's called that because that's where Judas died, and his blood was like all over the place. So they called it the field of blood. That's one account. The other one says that it's called the field of blood because it was purchased with blood money. Judas gave back the money. He threw it down in the temple, and they used that money to purchase the field. So those are just two different accounts. But the blood money thing probably goes back to something like this.
All right.
Yeah. You shall not charge interest on loans to your brother. Interest on money, interest on food, interest on anything that is lent for interest. You may charge a foreigner interest, but you may not charge your brother interest, that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you undertake in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. If you make a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay fulfilling it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and you will be guilty of sin. But if you refrain from vowing, you will not be guilty of sin. You shall be careful to do what has passed your lips, for you have voluntarily vowed to the Lord your God what you have promised with your mouth. If you go into your neighbor's vineyard, okay, so before we go to vineyard stuff. Okay. And by the way, Roman, I am actually Russian, so that is probably why I got it right. So,
Привет.
Привет. Yeah. When I was when I guess when we were in high school, somebody wanted to know how to say poop bitch. So I was like, kakashka suka. And then he went around just shouting kakashka suka. And I'm like, okay. So he just wanted to know how to say poop bitch.
Okay. Kakashka suka.
Yeah. So on...
We just got demonetized in
We
Russia.
just got demonetized. Fucking Putin.
Yeah. We just got double demonetized in Russia.
Oh man.
So in the verses we were just reading, I don't think it would actually matter all that much about what you say you're going to do, because God can read your thoughts.
Right.
Now,
but
this God that they were worshiping
story.
was probably a little bit different from the God that is worshipped today.
Well, probably, but also, I mean, the point that they're making here, because thoughts aren't things that most people have complete control over. They occur
Sure, yeah.
to people, right? So when you, of your own free will, make a verbal declaration of your vow, then it matters. Because, I mean, you can have like a million thoughts a second, and
Yeah, I
there's
guess, yeah.
no way you could possibly fulfill all those.
I guess, yeah.
You know, I can't help but to think every time you guys say thoughts, I think of like the Twitch thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, there's a million thoughts a second over here. It's just like, oh shit, not a million thoughts.
Maybe on Twitch.
Dude, a million thoughts a second? I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thought.
If you go into your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, as many as you wish, but you shall not put any in your bag. If you go into your neighbor's standing grain, you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not put a sickle to your neighbor's standing grain. So it's like an all-you-can-eat thing, but you get nothing to go.
Yeah.
That's the deal there.
Well, it's for the homeless. Right?
Is it? Because this applies to everybody.
It does apply to everybody, but the people...
is in your field just taking shit.
Yeah, the people who most need it would be the homeless, right?
Yes, but that doesn't mean you can't have some douchebag go in and take your shit and be like, I'm just sitting here getting my fill.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave after. I'm not going to put it in a bag or anything. Don't worry.
That's true. And
it would be a real dick move if they asked the people they're stealing from for a bag.
Yes. So that's the end of chapter 23. If you're enjoying the stream so far, give it a like, share it around, send it to your ex-girlfriends, neighbors, children from nearby elementary schools. Really, anyone and everyone.
Send a link to any children you're sponsoring in a third world nation.
Yeah. And especially any dying people who believe in God and need that little bit of hope.
Yeah, we got 22 watchers. That's a good number for us.
Yeah, that is a good number for us.
And I'm going to say probably half of those are from Godless, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for just being here.
I'm glad to support the stream in whatever way I can.
Well, thank you. And with that being said, Godless, it's your turn to read chapter 24.
Chapter 24.
Oh.
And I am going to...
I'm excited to do this. All right,
and I'm going to go get a drink. My Gatorade. I'll grab your fucking Gatorade.
You mind if I go ahead and start?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. If a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, and if after she leaves his house she becomes the wife of another man, and her second husband dislikes her and writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, or if he dies, then her first husband, who divorced her, is not allowed to marry her again after she has been defiled. That would be detestable in the eyes of the Lord. Do not bring sin upon the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance.
Wow, that's...
Is it just me, or does this sound like that clerk from Tennessee? What's her name? Kim something?
Jong-un?
I mean, they look so similar.
Yeah.
Kim Davis. Yeah.
Kim Davis.
Kim Davis. I think this was specifically written for Kim Davis.
Yeah. Well, I don't think... Did she ever marry the same person twice?
I don't know.
I know she married
I don't
4 times, though.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she was married like 4 times, and I think she had a child with her third husband while still being married to her second husband.
Oh,
or something
yeah, that's
like
right.
That. I don't know. It just seems like a very big legal problem for the Jews at the point with Kim Davis.
Oh, yeah,
The audience loves you.
Yeah.
Do that reading more.
Do that reading more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now these
If
obscure...
a man... Huh?
I was just going to say that there are like obscure divorce laws in here, which for a long time, Judeo-Christian society didn't allow divorce historically, and we know that. So I'm not sure why that came about when there are clearly laws designated towards divorce in the Old Testament. I'm just bringing that up.
Okay. All right.
Well, I also like how it's of course, again, it's never the choice of the woman. It's like, oh, the man is displeased with her, so he writes her, I don't know, a divorce thing on a toilet paper and then sends her off.
Right.
Yeah.
And then apparently it was so it was like such a problem back then that it's like, no, listen, you can't go back to the first husband. What the fuck are you doing?
That is a sin. It is. What was the word? Was it abomination?
it's a detestable
Oh, yeah,
in the eyes of the
detestable.
Lord.
Mine says it's an abomination.
Mine also says abomination. I like abomination.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's continue.
All right. Yeah.
All right. If a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. For 1 year, he is to be free to stay at home and bring happiness to the wife he has married. I think we all know what happiness means.
Oh yeah.
Giving her the D.
Yeah.
I think the author of this was probably like, I just got married. I don't want to go to war. Let's put this here.
Well, it's very Orwellian too.
Yeah,
Like
I want to fuck for a year before I go to war.
like you remember, you've read 1984, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember when Winston talks about his ex-wife and how she would refer to having sex as doing their duty for the state.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that reads like that here to me. Like, well, you got to take a year off and do your duty. Produce some goddamn babies.
Yeah, I mean, it is the perfect amount of time, though, like 1 year, because you get married, you bone her, she gets pregnant, like, immediately, apparently, and then, the full 9 months, and then, you bone her again before you go off to war. I mean, 2 kids right off the bat.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Do not take a pair of millstones, not even the upper one, as security for debt, because that would be taking a person's livelihood as security.
What's a millstone?
Were the millstones used to, like, I guess, create, I don't know, flour or something? Is that what the millstone? I have no idea what millstones are.
What the hell's a millstone?
Yeah, a millstone is used for grinding flour.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's used for grinding flour. So you can't take. What I imagine the purpose of the law is to say, if someone owes a debt to you, you can't, take what they use to feed themselves.
Okay, I guess.
Right? Because that would be killing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta put the bottom 2 cards, or the top 2 cards of your library on.
Oh,
in
shut the
your
fuck
graveyard.
up! Shut the fuck up! Get the fuck out of here!
All right, keep going, Godless.
All right. Let's see. If someone is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite and treating or selling them as a slave, the kidnapper must die. You must purge the evil from among you.
Okay.
And this is only fellow Israelites.
Right.
Yeah, we did talk about that before in Exodus, but just reiterating, it's only bad if it's another Israelite.
Right. I mean, you can go and kidnap an Amorite.
Other people, yeah,
Yeah.
especially the Amorites. Fuck the Amorites.
Sell those Amorites. Savages.
Sorry, I like how a lot of people say that our current government and legal system or whatnot's based on biblical standards, but it's like there's no in between. There's either you pay a fine or you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
And there's no way that could work in an actual society. It only works in this kind of barbaric type of society right here. It's like, oh, you kidnap someone, well, we're gonna have to kill you, okay?
Yeah.
There's no jail time for anything.
No, the only people who get jail time are lepers.
Yeah.
And that's a cure.
Yeah, that's the cure, the magic god cure for leprosy.
Speaking of lepers, that's the next thing.
Yep. In cases of defiling skin diseases, be very careful to do exactly as the Levitical priests instruct you. You must follow carefully what I have commanded them. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam along the way after you came out of Egypt. Now, in case you guys don't remember, Miriam got really sassy with Moses because of his choice of a third wife.
Yeah, what was it, like a Mushite, I think?
It was a
like that.
foreign woman.
Yeah, but I think it was listed Mushite woman. Yeah.
Right. So God then gave Miriam vagina rot and caused her to. I don't know if she died or if she was fine after a few days. I can't remember that far back.
I don't think that was discussed.
Yeah, I'm not
I feel like we would have remembered something like a vagina rot.
Important.
Well, no, okay, okay, that was a little bit of a literal thing on
No,
my part.
I understand
She got
that. but-
leprosy, basically, is what she got.
Oh wait, yeah, no, her skin became white, snow white. That's what happened. We actually, there's a book by Richard Elliott Friedman's who wrote the Bible. He goes pretty in depth into the Snow White Miriam story. That's what he listed as. Yeah.
Well, and like the Israelites, any kind of skin thing that happens, they call it leprosy. So they're not exactly specific in the Bible about what exactly.
Oh,
Right. Now,
It
I
is.
don't recall in Leviticus, it says that the Aaronid priests are the ones who treat the
Yeah.
lepers, right? And here it says that
The
it's
Levitical.
the Levites
Yeah.
who are doing it.
Flip-flop.
So it's not really clear there either.
As is tradition with the Bible, not really clear.
Yep.
All right. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, do not go into their house to get what is offered to you as a pledge. Stay outside and let the neighbor to whom you are making the loan bring the pledge out to you. If the neighbor is poor, do not go to sleep with their pledge in your possession. Return their cloak by sunset so that your neighbor may sleep in it. Then they will thank you, and it will be regarded as a righteous act in the sight of the Lord, your God.
So
Had to
Bob-
remind them who their God is, the Lord. I do like how constantly throughout this they're having to like walk them through how basic society works. Like
Yeah.
if someone pledges something to you, don't just go in there and fucking take it. That's not what civilized fucking people do.
No, civilized people stone women to death if they had sex and they didn't tell the person they married that they were not previously a virgin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck those people.
She hated it, but nothing would make her stop doing it. She used to call it, but you'll never guess, our duty to the party.
Yeah, that's
Thank
the
you.
quote.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for the quote.
Shane.
Yeah, thanks, Shane.
All right.
So, also the whole cloak thing about returning it or whatnot. It's if like if a poor person pledges something to you, you got to at least give them a cloak to sleep on. So I mean, it's nice that they got a little rolled up piece of fabric to lay their head on at night.
Yeah.
I like that they don't specify the size.
So they don't freeze to death overnight in the middle of the desert.
Yep. Do not take advantage of a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether that worker is a fellow Israelite or a foreigner residing in one of your towns. Pay them their wages each day before sunset because they are poor and are counting on it. Otherwise, they may cry to the Lord against you, and you will be guilty of sin.
So in modern American society, we don't get paid at the end of every day.
That's true. We don't.
So we don't follow the biblical
We
law
don't.
insofar as payments concerned.
Right.
Wow.
Falsified.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't want to get paid at the end of every day. I mean, it's like, here's your $30 check. Go
Oh,
and get you some
thanks.
dinner.
Yeah. It'd be a pain in the ass more than anything.
Yeah,
You
kind
have
of
to
would
cash that every day.
Every
Yeah.
single day, go to the bank and get your $30. Yeah. So what I find interesting is that it's obviously telling you if you hire somebody, don't make them a slave.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine.
If you hire somebody, pay them.
If you wanted to make them a slave, you would have just made them a slave.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing if they hired him, it would have been a fellow Israelite. So, like, it would be against the law to enslave them if they're a fellow Israelite.
Right,
You
but
can
it
only
also-
enslave those of the African nation.
It also says if he is your brother or one of those sojourners who are in your land. So even if it's a foreigner, same thing applies.
But you could always kidnap them because they're not a fellow Israelite.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then you could
Yeah.
take them as a slave. So why wouldn't you? I mean, God allows for it.
Yeah. He's okay with it.
My guess is that they would have just taken slaves. Why am I gonna pay for this shit when I could just conquer your ass right here?
Hold on. Ruben, can you do a good Jewish accent? Because I can't.
Oy vey, what are you talking about, Lawrence? You know, you go on and on and on about this and that and this and that, and it's driving your poor mother and father crazy.
I wanted you to say something, but I've forgotten what I wanted you to say.
It was good.
Okay, let's continue. Maybe I'll remember.
Parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parents. Each will die for their own sin.
That's
the
bullshit.
children will die for the sin of being sassy as fuck.
What I want to point out is my translation just says fathers. It doesn't say parents.
Mine also says fathers.
Ooh.
And
Whoa.
what's additional is that this goes directly against many of the previous commandments, which do condemn children due to the sins of their parents
Yeah.
for generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, so does it? Does it condemn them to death? Because it just says that they won't be put to death.
Well, there are
Well,
certain
if
points.
you think about it, if we go back to the whole Adam and Eve narrative, the punishment is death. That's what he says. Like, you will die. You will surely die, right?
Right.
And that is the whole concept of original sin.
Right. But here, it's the opposite of original sin.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. The direct opposite.
Yes. Literally the direct
The
opposite.
antithesis.
But also, this doesn't specify the fathers of your nation. These are
This
just
is fathers.
fathers of children,
Yeah.
right? And so why is it okay then to punish the Ammonite and Moabites up to the 10th generation in chapter 23, right? It's not necessarily being put to death, but in certain desert circumstances,
Certain
it
deserts.
may be.
I like that way around it there.
So,
Because
say-
you're right. I mean, forcing them out or whatnot is almost guaranteeing them death in certain situations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mistake not, just subscribed.
Who? Mistake not?
Yes.
Mistake not. Thank you for abandoning God.
Mistake not you have made.
Say, Ruben, in a Jewish voice, say, the blood is not on my hands.
The blood is not on my hands. That's not very good. It needs to be a little more, nasally.
Yeah.
The blood's not on my hands.
There
Good.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Do not deprive the foreigner or the fatherless of justice, or take the cloak of the widow as a pledge. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. That is why I command you to do this. Do not deprive them of justice.
Justice. Yeah, so I guess treat them fairly?
I guess.
Like in a court or something?
Whatever specifically that means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like how this entire section really jumps around shit, don't
Oh, yeah.
you? I mean, because it really does. It just goes one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and it's like all different kind of things.
Yeah.
Some of these things. Okay, so in chapter 22, the section was labeled various laws. That was the beginning of chapter 22 for me. Chapter 23, the last third of it is miscellaneous laws, and then now, right now, we are in miscellaneous laws again.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
lots of miscellaneous laws around here. Oh, and then we're gonna have another one next chapter. Fantastic.
Okay. When you are harvesting in your field and you overlook a sheaf, do not go back to get it. leave it for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat the olives from your trees, do not go over the branches a second time. Leave what remains for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. When you harvest the grapes in your vineyard, do not go over the vines again. Leave what remains for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. There's a lot of repetition here. I feel like you could just say it all in one go.
Yeah.
That does happen quite a lot in this book. Like, in this book, I mean the Bible.
Yeah.
And I think the last verse here that you're coming up on is also a repetition. I think.
Yeah, I just imagine a Jewish guy like beating the shit out of an olive tree, trying to get all of them down. And
with the hat.
I can just see God up there. Wait, no, leave some so that the fatherless, the foreigner, and the widow can all have a battle royale over who gets the
Speaking of fighting with trees, I have a good story. Do you remember Spencer?
Wick?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was so my ex lived directly across from his house. There was a time that we got to her place, and he was in his backyard. Sorry, not his backyard. He was in his front yard, which makes this much worse. He was sword fighting a tree.
Oh, with a sword?
Or like a wooden sword.
Oh.
Yeah. He was fighting a tree.
How long?
You know,
I think he lost.
Bruce Lee said something once, which is very important.
Okay.
The boards don't fight back.
Yeah, that's true. They don't.
The tree doesn't fight back.
No.
Unless, of course, you cut off a branch and it falls on your head and kills you.
In which case, you lost.
Yeah, you lost that fight. All right.
All right. So the last verse of this is just reminding the Jews that they were slaves in Egypt, and that's why he commands them to do all these weird ass fucking things.
Because that's perfectly reasonable justification.
It doesn't matter that he has killed a good portion of them in fairly large chunks. Like there was the time he opened up the earth, right?
Yeah.
There was a time when Moses.
The fire?
Yeah, the fire. That's true. There was a time when it comes to the golden calf thing, directly after that, Moses had his group of people, and then there was another group that disagreed with them, and then all those people were smited. Yeah.
And then the interbreeding thing that happened later on, where the Israelites were having sex with too many strange foreign women.
Right. There. Where was that? In
that was in
Peor?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was there. Okay, but yeah, lots of killing. Doesn't matter how many you killed. You led them out of the land of Egypt.
Yeah. Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give it a like and share it around with your friends like a home-brewed bottle of hobo wine. And with that, I'm going to get started on chapter 25.
I mean, there are 24 people watching. That's fantastic. And if you're watching this long, may as well drop a like.
Yeah, may as well.
Tell people about this thing.
Yeah.
Tell people about this thing.
Get the name of our show and the time when it airs in your time zone tattooed onto your chest.
Sit down. Invert it so you can see it.
Yeah.
Just look down and you know what time Atheist Sunday School is.
Yeah. Or you could do it as a reflection, so you can look in a mirror and know what it is.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we can...
Okay, chapter 25. If there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. Wow.
Wow, crazy laws here.
Woohoo.
Great. Fucking, don't do anything bad to the innocent.
Condemn the wicked.
Condemn the guilty party.
Justify the righteous.
These crazy fucking laws.
Yeah, this is really out there.
I think this is proof that this is a Christian nation.
Yeah. And I think it's proof that it's not. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judges shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face according to his fault by a certain number.
Okay.
It's,
I think they're.
oh, yeah, it goes in depth.
Yeah.
40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed. Lest if he should exceed, and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should seem vile unto thee. I guess because they would be way too scarred up. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn. Now that's out of place.
This is very much out of place.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, please don't flog an Israelite more than 40 times or else you won't be able to recognize them. Also, don't muzzle the fucking oxes. You know?
Yeah.
Just in case you forget, we forgot to put it in before, but it belongs in here.
Yeah. You know, with all of these rules about your ox and your asses and, you know, doing farm work, you'd figure they could have just put them all together.
Yeah.
They could have.
That would have been the easiest thing to do.
It really would have, and it would have made these read a lot better.
Yeah.
But apparently not. D, you asshole / assholes. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her.
So you marry your stepbrother.
Sister-in-law.
Oh, yeah, sister-in-law.
Yeah.
That was stupid of me.
If your brother dies, you marry your sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Which, okay,
That doesn't seem right.
I guess.
I guess it's there. But what if he's already married?
Hey, who gives a fuck? You can have multiple wives.
No.
Yeah. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, My husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Again, your duty to the party.
Yeah.
Then the elders of the city shall call him and speak unto him, and if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house, and his name shall be called out in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed.
Okay. So I'm guessing it had to mean something else, because obviously there's nothing wrong with like losing a shoe.
This is about Footloose, the movie.
When the woman removes the shoe from the man,
Yeah.
it's a sign of disrespect. As we came to before, over and over again, in Genesis, they require you to wash your feet.
Yeah.
And you are required to offer a stranger in your house to let them wash their feet. Like Abraham would do that constantly. So when she takes off the shoe, she's symbolically dirtying the feet of the person, which makes them unclean.
Because he wouldn't marry her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but not only
Because he wasn't carrying on the family.
Yeah.
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 Well, I think this law is specifically about not impregnating the brother's widow so that she'll have the baby, and then the baby is supposed to be, like, by proxy, the dead brother's baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This harkens back to, I believe it was oh, what was it? It was like one of Judah's sons wouldn't fuck his sister-in-law and give her a baby. He spilled his seed on the ground, and so God shoved a lightning bolt up his ass.
Yeah. I forget. Was that in Exodus?
I think it might have been Exodus.
Oh, it was Genesis,
I'm not
I think.
sure.
Genesis like 38 or something.
No, Genesis. Yeah, Genesis.
Yeah, if a man spills his seed on the ground, then he shall surely die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Smoked.
Wasted.
It's a lie,
Oh, shit,
by
that's
the
good.
way.
Wasted.
It's a total lie, by the way. I can attest to that.
That's fake.
Yeah, me too.
Fake news.
So, when men strive together, one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets. What the hell does yours say?
Private part.
Yeah, mine says private parts for that one. But when men fight with one another, and the wife of the one draws near to rescue her husband from the hand of him who is beating him, and puts out her hand and seizes him by the private parts,
Then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her.
Wow, okay.
So, well, okay, I get it.
I'm gonna get a drink for this.
So, don't
You got
kick.
Mountain Dew?
What?
Can you give me Mountain Dew?
Fine.
So, I guess you shouldn't kick people in the balls or grab them by the balls when they're fighting. Which,
Well, no, yeah. Just imagine this: like two guys are fighting. What's gonna compel a girl to be like, "I got your back, honey," and like she reaches out and grabs his balls?
yeah,
Like, how odd would that be?
I bet.
Oh shit, honey! Now I gotta cut off your hand now.
I bet whoever wrote this section got his balls grabbed when he was fighting some.
Yeah, he like really didn't like it.
Yeah, he really didn't like it.
I just see it now, like, oh shit, she got me in the balls. Cut her fucking hand off.
Yeah.
Fucking cunt.
Thou shalt not have in thy bag diverse weights, a great and small. Thou shalt not have in thine house diverse measures, a great and small. But thou shalt have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shalt thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Now, Godless engineer, you're an engineer. What exactly is the perfect weight and measure?
The perfect one.
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing that they're just talking about how to, I guess, weigh goods, like weigh your shekels. So, like, you could have one thing that's used to weigh shekels that's heavier, so that you have to pay less. And then there's one lighter in which you would use so that somebody would have to pay you more, like in shekels. Because I mean, that like the shekels was an actual like amount, like a weight of thing, and that's how you would measure like how much you paid. And so like if you used a lighter weight, then people would have to put more shekels down in order to make the weight counter. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's the whole where they have the weight and measure.
Yeah,
Fuck, I
the
can't
scale.
think of what a scale.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like
I
playing
get what
with
you're saying.
God's titties right now, I guess.
Well, also, does that mean that the standard 12-inch ruler, which also has centimeters, is heretical? It's two different kinds of measuring.
Everything is heretical.
Let's continue.
But also, yes.
Okay. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about. Yeah, it's
What are you
roundabout.
doing?
It's roundabout.
Oh, it's roundabout.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Oh, it's the stupid to be continued meme.
Yeah.
Roundabout.
Oh, yeah.
By yes. In the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it. So we got to remember about Amalek. Now, what do you remember about Amalek?
Not much. I think God killed him, right? I'm pretty sure.
I remember that Amalek met them by the way and smote the hindmost of them, even all that were feeble behind them.
Wow. I don't really remember
was
much about him.
Amalek one of the guys that took one of the Israelite wives and then God like sewed up all their vaginas so that they couldn't have kids until the wife was returned to them? Is that one of them, or
I don't know. Was Amalek the guy who was wanting to marry like Moses' wife or sister or something?
There's
Both,
also
'cause of the same
Abimelech.
person?
That doesn't help that, but there's also Abimelech.
Yeah,
Abimelech? Yeah.
There's another
That
guy.
might have been him that I'm thinking of. I don't remember.
Uh,
What are you gonna do?
I don't either.
What are you gonna do? Is that gonna help you looking through that?
Well, I was just reading every single page that we've gone over to see if Amalek was back there. But yeah, that's the end of this chapter. Pretty short chapter, all in all. If you're enjoying it, do the thing. Anyways, it's Lawrence's turn. Lawrence,
Yes, it is.
you're finishing us up today with chapter 26.
Yes, I am. And if you would like, Reuben, I brought the rum over here, so you can drink that if you so please.
I'm all right, but
All
you
right.
can drink it.
I already have. And I wish I could give some of this to Godless, but I can't, as is the nature of Google Hangouts. When you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance, and have taken possession of it, and live in it, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of the ground, which you harvest from your land that the Lord your God is giving you. And you shall put it in a basket, and you shall go to the place that the Lord your God will choose to make his name dwell there. And you shall go to the priest who is in the office at the time, and say to him, I declare today that the Lord your God... wait, what? Oh, I declare today to the Lord your God that I have come into the land that the Lord swore to our fathers to give us. Then the priest shall take the basket from your hand and set it down before the altar of the Lord your God. And you shall make response before the Lord your God, a wandering Aramean?
Mine says Assyrian.
Okay, so maybe it was the same general area.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was from Aram, right? I remember that. Okay. Wandering Aramean was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there, few in number, and there he became a nation, great, mighty, and populous. And the Egyptians treated us harshly and humiliated us and laid on us hard labor. Then we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with great deeds of terror, with signs and wonders. And he brought us into the place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And behold!
Behold!
Now I bring the first of the fruit of the ground, which you, O Lord, have given me. And you shall set it down before the Lord your God, and worship before the Lord your God. And you shall rejoice in all the good that the Lord your God has given to you, and to your house, you and the Levite and the sojourner who is among you. So this is kind of their payment for God getting them out of Egypt, even though he was a real dickbag for like 40 years. So
It's his fault anyways.
yeah, it was his fault anyways. But this is I don't know if it's perhaps reflected in the whole firstborn of Egypt thing.
Yeah.
Could be that there's a parallel there. I don't know.
Well, there's a parallel throughout here, especially with Moses. See, the Moses story is that Moses gets put into the basket and is sent down the river.
Yeah, like Sargon of Akkad. Not the YouTuber, the Sargon of Akkad.
like Sargon of Akkad. And here it's a similar thing that you have to take the first fruit, and if I'm correct, Aaron is the older son.
Was he? I thought it was the younger one. I could be wrong. I usually am.
I'm gonna say that Moses is the older son. But either way, the fruit, which is put in the basket, obviously there's a parallel
Well, actually,
there.
I would say that Moses might be the younger one. Or sorry, might be the older one. Wait, no, the younger one. Because Aaron has already died at this point. So, I don't know, usually the older one dies first, so...
Yeah.
So, I don't know,
Usually.
that's just a guess.
But, I mean,
Because I have forgotten.
the child being the fruit of the parents, obviously it pops up here. It gets put into a basket. He's basically, like, remember my story, people.
Yeah.
Take aspects of my childhood and symbolically place them within your own life.
Because this is something I would want you to do.
Yep. But God wants you to do
God
it.
wants you to do. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Sorry. When you have finished paying all the tithe of your produce in the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, giving it to the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, so that they may eat within your towns and be filled, then you shall say before the Lord your God, I have removed the sacred portion out of my house, and moreover, I have given it to the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, according to all your commandments that you have commanded me. I have not transgressed any of your commandments, nor have I forgotten them. So, what I want to point out here is that in this book, it's telling you to give to the needy and the poor.
Yeah.
But if we look at Leviticus, we see the priesthood taking a good portion of the stuff.
Right.
So these are very diametrically opposed. These are two very different kinds of Judaism.
Right. We have one which distributes to the needy, and we have one which distributes to
The rich.
the rich.
Well, not even the rich, but like the rulers. Like
Right,
they're obviously in
the
power.
rulers. And there are different points at which they put forward taxations of different kinds. Right? They've done it a few times.
Yeah, they have.
Which a lot of these laws here in Deuteronomy, they specifically say, well, if you have a fine, you pay it to the person who you wronged, right? Which is more moral than you sinned, so give a whole bunch of shit to the church.
Yeah. Well, that's they got rid of those. What were they called? Indulgences?
Yeah.
Like for sinning, yeah. Ooh, that tastes like rum.
I bet it does.
Yeah. I have not eaten of the tithe while I was mourning, or removed any of it while I was unclean, or offered any of it to the dead. I have obeyed, just offering it to the dead. Hey, dead, would you like some of this?
Well, you can't offer it to the dead because necromancy was outlawed
Right.
in the previous chapter.
I have obeyed the voice of the Lord my God. I have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look down from your holy habitation from heaven and bless your people Israel and the ground that you have given us, as you swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey.
What are they going to do when the bees go
I keep
extinct?
saying that.
Well, it's going to be the land of milk.
What happens when the milk curdles?
The land of curdled milk.
Well, I'm just kind of curious, like, how are they just going to survive on milk and honey for the rest of, like, land of flow? Like, I've never understood that. Like, I get that it's probably just describing a very fruitful land or very abundant in resources, but it's a very weird way to characterize it. Flowing with milk and honey. I don't want milk that's been flowing on, I don't know, whatever the fuck kind of ground they have there.
Right.
sticky ass ground.
Like you'll take it through the streets of like New York, but you won't take it if it was through the fucking desert.
Right, I can understand the milk thing because the milk implies that you have herds of animals, right?
Yeah.
And the herds of animals produce the milk that can also be used for a number of things.
Wasn't honey used for medicine a lot?
Probably. I don't know.
It was
Okay.
a good preservative.
Good preservative.
It is a good preservative, but I assume that by a land flowing with milk, they mean a land where there's lands where your animals can survive
And make milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to a harsh desert wasteland where your animals will all die.
Or literally a land consisting of only milk and only honey.
Only milk and
Yeah.
only honey, man. That doesn't.
Man, the Euphrates River
You
was
drowned-
so different back
you
then.
drowned in a sticky slurry.
So there's your Tigris and your Euphrates. One's milk, one's honey.
Yeah. Oh man, that was it. You
Yeah.
got it. This day the Lord your God commands you to do these statutes and rules. You shall therefore be careful to do them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have declared today that the Lord your God, you have declared today that the Lord is your God, and that you will walk in his ways, and keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his rules, and will obey his voice. And the Lord has declared today that you are a people for the treasured possession, as he has promised you, and that you... And that you are to keep all his commandments, and that he will set you in praise, and in fame, and in honor high above all nations that he has made, and that you shall be a people holy to the Lord your God, as he promised.
Wow. Lots of promises, huh?
Lots of promises, and after, 40 years of wandering in the desert, then you're going to fulfill the promise. But now he's kind of added a lot of stipulations on top of that promise.
Yeah. Thank you, antisocial socialist.
Thank you. I'll
Thank
have
you
you
very
pay for rum.
much. Yes.
Woo, check out this animation.
Ooh, there's an animation.
Yeah.
Ruben with the bow staff.
Oh, it's me with the bow staff.
Yeah.
Is it?
Woo,
Yeah, there you
look
go.
at me. Woo,
Yes, thank you.
so cool.
Thought it'd be nice to throw in on drinks for you guys while I had it. Have a great weekend. Thanks for the videos. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And with that...
By the way, just so you guys know, this isn't like regular Captain Morgan. This is the 100 proof Captain Morgan. This stuff tastes like caramel.
Ooh.
I like caramel.
That's the good stuff.
I really like it. There was when I was in Florida, I actually bought a bottle of this thinking it was just regular Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it. And I drank like half a bottle, or no, it was like closer to a third. Let's be honest. It was like closer to a third of a bottle in like a night. I was fucking hammered. You can ask Aaron about that night. I was fucking sloshed, but that felt great. So
thanks, Godless, for coming on our show
yes,
today.
thank you so much. Did you have fun? I had fun.
I had fun.
Oh, I always have fun reading the Bible because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you have your own Bible series, right?
Yes, I do. The Daily Bible Podcast that I do with KC. And I think this week we're going over health and dietary laws. I think it's mainly just health, like, kind of laws
So
and stuff.
are you guys reading it straight through?
Well, kind of. We got a daily Bible thing, and
Okay.
what they did was they took all of the laws and they sectioned them out into different sections.
Makes sense.
And so, like, it kind of jumps around in Deuteronomy and Leviticus and everything like that. So, yeah, we're in that section right now that's kind of jumping around a little bit. But as soon as we get out of all the laws and stuff, it's just going to be, like, straight through the Bible.
Okay. And you guys don't actually do them every day, because I only see them, like, once in a while.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's once a week. It's not every day, but yeah, it's once a week, and it posts on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Central. So yeah, that's what we do on Tuesdays.
Tom, we can put a link if he sends us it.
I can find a link. There's
On the site.
there's
We'll put a link on the site.
on the site. Okay.
Yeah, under your tab.
All right. Well, that is the show for today, guys.
Hey, Godless, you got any more projects that you
Yeah.
want to bring up while
Anything
you're
you wanna-
still
Anything
with
you
our
wanna
audience?
Chill out.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I've got an interview with Rick Carrier that's gonna be posting soon.
Good shit.
I have my normal response videos that I do every Monday, and Wednesdays are always comment videos, and then Fridays are interviews. I've actually got an interview with Black Sofa. He's a new creator in the community, and I'm going to be doing an interview with him. And I have a few things that's coming up, collabs with Cat Brony and Frustrated Atheists. So I'm pretty excited about all those projects.
Right.
All right,
on.
awesome.
And thanks to Shane
Shane.
for your donation of $1.99. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So other than that, just normal shilling stuff. Facebook, Twitter, we're on there. On Twitter, it's at MKE Atheists. Facebook, just Milwaukee Atheists. It's a page.
MilwaukeeAtheist.com.
MilwaukeeAtheists.com. You can have a chat on our forums there.
Yep.
Post some memes.
And memes, yeah. They're-
Teespring, we've got all sorts of wacky and fun shirts.
Yeah, wacky and fun shirts on Teespring. And then obviously Patreon.
Yep.
Yeah, the stuff is at the start of the show, all the perks, if you're too lazy to go to the actual site. But everything is in the description. Everything you need to see, everything you need to know. So that is the end of the stream today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, Godless. And we will see
No
you
problem.
next time.